I'm a finisher for sure. I always look to kill. I always look to go home. Never really been talented at anything. Like for everything, for me, man, like especially sports-wise, school-wise, or whatever it is, man, it's just something I've always had to work towards. I'm never naturally like gifted in school, never naturally gifted at any sport. So like for me, man, like a fighter goes hand in hand with kind of sucking at shit, man, because you have to fight through that shit. You have to fight through everything, and like if I wanted to be athletic, if I wanted to be fast, if I wanted to get my cardio better, I was running. It wasn't like I had a genetically gift to go do that. I had to go put in that work. I had to go to get better at jiu-jitsu. I had to go put hours in on the mat. I had to get subbed. I had to go get my ass whooped where like, to a point where like I made friends with the fucking feeling of me just getting my ass whooped, me getting tapped, me trying not to get tapped, me fighting situations of like a person choking me and me having to fight through that situation. Like I said, I'm not saying like not being talented at anything kind of shaped me, but I think it did too, man. I think that it built a little bit of a mentality of everything I knew I had to do. I had to work hard at it. I knew that I was going to go in there and just be great at something specifically. I knew that in order for me to compete with an average person or compete with an old person, I'd have to try twice as hard. So fighting, man, that me right off the bat, I think I started like training MMA, like an actual gym when I was 16. But we were training way long before that. We were drilling arm bars. We were drilling all this with my brother. And like I said, I had an older brother that would kick my ass. And like, he'd teach me stuff. He'd teach me what he knew. But basically, we were just teaching ourselves based off like magazines and like YouTube videos and just watching little clips of wherever we can get it to just find like submissions and find whatever we could to grow as like fighters. We were always into boxing, but like jiu-jitsu was something that we were kind of teaching ourselves a little bit. So when I went to a gym as a 16-year-old, and like 16-year-old especially back then, like there was no other kids in my gym. Every other teenager at my gym at the time, man, I pretty much chased out. But yeah, so just competing with grown-ass men, man. I was competing with bigger guys. Being a flyweight, it kind of comes like that, where it's like you have to be a little bit more technical. You have to be a little bit more fluid. You have to know the position a little bit more. You have to know the situation a lot more, because I don't depend on my strength. I don't depend on my speed. I need that technique to get me by. And I think all in all, man, like not having an athletic gift was really what helped me kind of build that up in my head where I need to be. And just like you see some people in the gym going there with all the talent in the world. They start off knowing how to throw a kick. They know how to wrestle. They know how to be explosive. They're fast. They have all that beautiful like genetic gift. But then they don't take the time to learn the technique because they didn't have to learn that technique. They didn't have to learn that mentality of like, I'm gonna fight to get out of this choke, because they don't get in that bad position. It's like I spent a lot of times in a lot of bad positions, man. I spent a lot of times fucking getting my ass whooped, if that's in sports or if that's in school or whatever it was, man. It took a lot of failures to kind of finally succeed at whatever I was doing, man. So I think a little bit mentality-wise, I knew that was always going to be the case, and I knew that I'd always have to fight through it. I knew that when I started jiu-jitsu, I was going to get caught in a choke, and I knew that I wasn't going to fucking tap until the last breath was fought in that battle, man. And I think that built a lot of mentality into me, and I think that's great for a fighter. And I think some of the talented fighters in the gym that step into a gym, man, need to put themselves through a little bit more shit in order to be great, honestly. If you have a guy that's talented and hardworking and knows how to push those barriers, man, you get a world-class champion, man. Hood violence was something that Phoenix said to me because I was getting ghetto after one of my fights. And she's like, it seems like you bring a lot of hood violence out there. So I kind of just, I get that said a lot around me. I kind of just turn up right after my fights, which is, I don't know why I do it. I just get hyped. I'm a hype person. I guess right now I'm pretty low, but after my fights I get hyped. I go out there and just prepare for the worst too, man. So when I overcome that situation, it just means the world to me. It means a lot. So like when you go in there, man, I'm going in there. When I'm in the back room, man, I'm just like, I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna be gonna come out 15, 20 minutes. This fight's gonna be 30 minutes, and just like I'm gonna be sitting here washing the blood off me. I'm gonna be washing my face. I'm gonna be hardly walking to that locker room and just like hopefully it's not my blood, hopefully it's not all my lumps, hopefully I come out victorious in this, but like I'm gonna go in there and it's gonna be a dogfight. And in those situations where I prepare myself for that and I prepare myself to go fucking die in the ring or just go battle it out or just go see the worst, man, put myself in that dark place where I have to go and just see myself going or just preparing for the worst possible situation, is when you come out of that and you come out of it unscathed, man, it's just fucking, it's the best feeling in the world. You're just like, whoa, I prepared myself for this, and like that's not what happened at all. I went out there and I just did what I had to do. I got the job done, and sometimes I come out a little bit more hyper than I would expect to, more than like I would address an average person on a daily basis. But like at the end of the day, man, like it is just a natural feeling, man. Fighting's one of those sports where it's like you don't really want to do it, man. Fighters break between that locker room and that walk out to that arena every day, man. Every day that's where the fight's lost right then, man. If you can build it up and you can beat that position and then go out there and actually win that fight, man. And depending on all of us, we put in so much goddamn work, we sacrifice so much that feeling of a winning, man, is just unbeatable, man. I can't even like it. There's not a drug alive that can beat that feeling. Just hard work, fucking just meeting that reward right there, man. So when they say hood violence, I go out there and I get a little bit ghetto and I talk my shit and I just get hyped up, probably cuss way more than I ever should, just say shit I probably shouldn't. But all of us, man, just a collective just of like everything I sacrificed. I've been sacrificing shit for this sport since I was 16, man. I've been dreaming big of this sport since I was 16. The day I turned 18, I had an option to go off to college, and I was like, no, I want to do this. I made like so many changes. I didn't go out to parties. I wasn't going to a graduation party and drinking. I was just preparing for my first amateur fights and preparing for my first pro fights, 18 and 19 years old. So like, I missed a big portion of like an average life of a person, or just an average like kind of like, I don't know, a rite of passage in a sense, just for fighting, man. And like I said, I wouldn't change it for a thing, but when it pays off, man, it's the best feeling ever. And you never know if it's gonna pay off. And even right now, you know, like before this fight, I'm just like, God, I hope it's all worth it. I hope that this all pans out. This is a big fight for me. Every fight's a big fight for me, but this is a big fight, and like it's a really big fight. Like I said, if I can make it work out, then everything's gonna be good. If I don't make it work out, then what's the next step for me? And I don't really know. At the end of the day, I love this sport, and I'll always be a martial artist, and always chase the dream, or always chase the journey of a martial artist. But what does that mean for the dream? And that's just the reality of this sport, man. Is we're all pretty much one fight away from being done from the sport, and it's the sad truth of it, honestly. I've been training with a lot of talented guys and like a lot of high names since I was a little kid, and I had like I was training with like, I don't know, I guess tough competitors and all that since I was like 18, 19. I've never struggled against a UFC caliber opponent or like a top opponent. I've never really like seen much of a difference, so it wasn't surprising to me. It was a nice validation, but like I wasn't surprised that I was able to go out there and beat them. Sometimes in your mind you're like, all right, like what makes this guy so different from me? What's this level from this level? And the sad truth of it all, man, is we could all get caught by a fucking brand newbie. I can get choked out by a white belt today, man, and like I said, the validation was great, man. Winning a fight's great. Winning a fight in my hometown or in my state is no better feeling, man. Being a UFC vet's just a validation of like where my rankings are, and just prove to myself that I can keep pushing it, I can keep going, and that I'm not far away from where I need to be at. But like I said, was I surprised that I beat him? Not really, man. Like I think there's a lot of UFC guys that I would beat right now, a lot of these top contenders, and I know that as a fighter you have to think that way, but I truly believe that there's a lot of top 10, flyweights in the world that I can beat right now. Just if we took a fight tomorrow. The flyweight division's a great dynamic division. Good everywhere, man. There's such skill in that division. There's no validation like being in the UFC as an American person. Like, UFC is the place to be, and as far as flyweights go and as far as what they're looking for flyweights, they don't think flyweights are exciting. Fucking watch my fights, man. I'm an exciting flyweight. Like, at the end of the day, I don't know, I might not be the best at this or that, but what I do know is at the end of the day, I'm going in there and I'm fucking putting on a fight every time I go out there, and that's just who I am. And that's part of like what we say is when Phoenix says you're gonna come bring out that hood violence, is because I actually go out there and I come out there with bad intentions. I'm not going out there and saying I'm going for the kill and looking for TKOs and looking to grind out rounds. Every single one of my fights, I'm looking to finish right away. I just want to go home and get the fuck out of there. And that being said, is it makes for an exciting fight, and it makes for an exciting fighter, and I consider myself a really exciting fighter and a really exciting fighter, especially for my weight class. There's not too many finishers at the flyweight division. I'm a finisher for sure. I always look for the kill. I always look to go home. At the end of the day, I got a job to do, and that's finish a fight, and I was not looking to not finish that fucking fight. Even if he turned for a second, I was looking to get that fucking fight finished. So, like I said, for flyweights, man, I think I'm one of the people to be watching for.